Always remember that the shaping of the body foundation pattern is based on two rectangles which represents the half of the back and the half of the front. Step 1. Draw the rectangular blocks. These are the two rectangles, or what we so call the blocks. This is the back foundation block and this is the front foundation block. The width of the back foundation block is 1/4 of the bust measurement and the length is as required. And the width of the front foundation block is 1/4 of the bust measurement plus 1 inch of tolerance over the diaphragm, and the length is as required. Now you probably wonder why we add a tolerance for the front foundation block. Because in a woman's pattern, it is usual for the front bodice to be longer or wider than the back bodice because of her bust, and this will place the side seam correctly. Step 2. The horizontal guidelines. In this step, we will draw a line across the blocks to give a guide for the shaping of your pattern. Some lines are drawn according to the guide chart given, and others are taken from your personal measurement chart. By following our guide chart, we can able to draw the first two horizontal lines, which is the shoulder guideline and the bust guideline. Select your personal bust or chest measurement from the guide chart, then follow the corresponding measurement for the shoulder guideline and bust guideline. The shoulder guideline and the bust guideline will be measured down from the top of both back and front blocks like this. So after we draft our shoulder guideline and bust guideline, let us now configure our waistline. Your waistline will be taken from your personal measurement. Configuring the waistline is by means of applying the measurement of the back figure and the front figure. Back figure will be measured down from the top of the back foundation block. And also for the front foundation, the front figure will also be drawn from the top of the front foundation block. And for the next horizontal line, you will be using your measurement for the waist to hip bone from your personal measurement chart, and this will be measured down from the waistline level. And now for the last horizontal line, you will be using your personal measurement for waist to sit. This is the length taken aside from waistline down to the widest part of the buttocks. And this will also be measured down from the waistline on both back and front blocks. Now let's go to step number 3, vertical guidelines. The vertical guidelines in a body foundation pattern, particularly in a bodice pattern, will configure the shaping for the neck and armhole. To proceed on vertical guidelines, we will be using our guide chart. Locate the corresponding neck guide for the bust measurement you desired, and this will be measured from the center fold of each block outward. Our next vertical guideline will be the armhole guideline, and this will be taken from your personal measurement chart. In this step, you will be using your measurement for the back chest width and front chest width. For the back pattern, simply divide the measurement for the back chest width into 2, then apply the result. Start measuring from the center fold outward, here. Then for the front pattern, simply divide the front chest measurement into 2, then apply the result from the center fold outward, here. Now that we have already completed all the horizontal guidelines and vertical guidelines, we are now ready to go to step number 4, which is shaping the bodies. So let us first review all the labels of each line until we get familiar of them. Of course, starting with the shoulder guideline, this is the bust guideline, this is the waistline, this is the hip line or the waist to hip bone, this is the waist to sit, the neck guideline, and the armhole guideline. In this part, we will going to draft or to shape our back neck, the front neck, shoulder lines, and the armhole. Okay, let's start with the back neck. Draw a curved line from the top of the neck guideline to a point of 3/4 of an inch or 2 cm below the top of the block at the center back. Now let's go to front neck. So draw a curved line from the top of the neck guideline here to a point 1.5 cm below the shoulder guideline at the center front, here. So please draw a smooth curve using a French curve ruler because it will fit around the base of the neck column, so shape them accordingly. We have already completed and configured our back neck and front neck, so let's proceed to configure our shoulder lines. To shape our back and front shoulder line, you have to rule from the top of the neck guideline here to a point of a 2 cm right above the shoulder guideline. This is an average positioning for our shoulder slope, and the length of the shoulder line depends on your personal measurement for the shoulder length. For the front shoulder line, you can do the same procedure and the same measurement as you did in the back shoulder line. These are the points to remember for an average positioning. Let us now proceed to the armhole. For the back and front armhole, you can start rolling the first part of the armhole from the outer point or the end point of the shoulder line here. Then mark a point along the armhole guideline about halfway down here, and from there you can carve down around until you reach the bust guideline on the side seam edge here. Okay, just keep the carve diagonally out from the corner by approximately 2 cm for the right positioning. Okay. Now for the front armhole, you can also follow the same procedure as you did in the back armhole, but this time you must keep the carve diagonally out from this corner by approximately 3 cm for an average positioning. You can reshape the armhole later to carve out any sharp angles. Now let's proceed to step number 5, shaping the side seams. In this step, we will going to shape the waist for the back and front, the hip line, the sit line, and the hem line. In this step, we normally think that the shaping of the side seam is just as simply as dividing the waistline and the hip line into 4 to configure the shaping. But it's not as simple as that, because the two blocks are of different width. The front foundation block is wider than the back foundation block. So how can we divide? What is the right calculation or formulation for this? So now I'm gonna show you the simple calculation technique so that the side seam, which have to be joined together, will match each other and the greater overall width of the front pattern is maintained. Here I have a sample measurement, and you can later on substitute your own measurement. In shaping at waist, all we have to do is to combine the width of the two blocks. In this example, our back foundation is 9 inches and the front foundation is 10 inches. We will add the width of the two blocks, so the sum of two blocks is 19 inches in total. Then you have to divide your waist circumference into 2. In my example, I got 14 inches. Then we will subtract the half of the waist from the sum of two blocks. So here we got 5 inches. Then 5 inches will be divided into 2. We got 2.5 of an inch. Now this is the amount to be applied from the side seam at the waistline on both blocks. For the shaping of the hip, you can follow the same procedure as you did in the waistline, and the result will be also applied from the side seam at the hip line on both blocks. Sa ganitong paraan ng kalkulasyon ay mapapanatili ang lapad na kinakailangan para sa back at ang lapad na kinakailangan para sa front. Now let's proceed to shape our sit line. In shaping, our sit line is as the same as you shape the waistline and hip line. But if the half of the sit line is greater than the sum of the two blocks, then the point for shaping will fall outside the block. Now for the hem line, you can extend and draw a line where the points of the sit line end and go down to the hem for a suitable amount. It could be 3 cm for a short dress block, up to 7 cm for a long dress block or floor length block. Now let's go to step number 6, the darts. Darts give shape and form to our pattern. Some darts are essentials, while others are optional. In later lessons, we will learn how to shape the darts to our new position, but for initial foundation, they should be placed as follows. Okay, so let us now proceed to the front underarm dart. For me, the front underarm dart is the most important dart in a woman's pattern because it gives the shaping of her bust and it brings the side seam to the same length. Nakuha nyo? To the same length. Bakit? Kasi mas mahaba ang front foundation block kaysa sa back foundation block, because mas mahaba yung front figure kaysa sa back figure. So ang dart ang siyang magtutugma sa dalawang side seam ang siyang hahabol dun sa difference. First, establish the two measurement. Importante yung the two measurement na to, yung bust point at yung bust distance. Dapat establish muna yan at yan ay magtutugma sa isang point. So the bust distance will be measured from the center of the shoulder down to the apex of the bust, the pinakadulo, and then itutugma yung point na yon dun sa half of the bust distance. So yung bust distance i-divide sa 2, then magpo-point, magtutugma ang dalawang yan. And then after that, from the bust guideline under this corner of the armpit area here, go down at least 9 cm or 3.5 of an inch para doon mag-start yung rule or yung line from there to the bust point. Ayan. But be sure not to fold the line exactly at the bust point. You can adjust at least half of an inch away from the bust point. So this line will be the center of your dart, and the width of the dart is the difference between the two measurements, which is the back figure and the front figure, kung ilan yung difference nila. In my example, my back figure is 16 inches and the front figure is 16 and 3/4. So yung 3/4 na yun ang magiging lapad ng kanyang dart na ilalagay dito. Now the amount of width in the dart should also be added at the hemline. Okay, so ang tendency niyan, magtutugma na ngayon ang dalawang side seam. Kapag tinahiyan, magmamatch na sila, hindi na mahaba ang harap. And for the final touch, you can carve out any sharp angles including the waistline and the hip line. Ayan, para maging smooth ang bawat carve. Okay, so that's all. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell notification para lagi kayong updated sa aking mga lessons.